Hello everyone. I thought for today's newsletter I'd put a little video in here to remind you about some or one particular resource we have that I think is pretty neat and you may have forgotten about it. It's called historygeo.com and it is available to you as a Godfrey member. And it's right here. Well, actually I'll go back a level so you can see where we came from. All right, so this is our search screen. And we went into external databases, and from there I'm going to choose History Geo, and I will click Launch a Map Viewer, and you can see there are three kind of modules to this product. We're going to look today fairly quickly at the First Landowners Project and the Antique Maps Collection. There's also a place finder, but let's start out with the Antique Maps Collection. And this is a nice little collection of maps, and most of them are what they call cadastral maps, which are the maps that have the names of the people that lived in the particular places. That's really helpful when you're doing research on your ancestors. So we're going to start here by choosing a state, and I thought I would do New York. I've been doing some research recently on some folks from New York, and Broome County actually is the county I was born in. But that's not where I'm researching. I'm going to click up here and you can see that there are quite a few New York maps available to us, which is great. I know New Hampshire only has a couple, but we have a lot of choices here in New Hampshire. And I want to look at Rensselaer County because that's where I've been doing my research. So I will click on that. And the map comes up. And if I want to make it so I can actually read it, see it, I'm going to hit the zoom, the plus sign, the zoom in button, and you can see I can go in and then I can just take my cursor and move the map around to look at particular places. And over here we have a list of the names that we'll be able to find. I have a feeling they haven't put every single name in here, but you can see there are 4 A names, so you can just decide what letter you want to look for. The family I've been looking for, their name is Diver, D-I-V-E-R. And oh, I'm in luck. There are 2 divers on this list. There's also a couple of Doties. They were also married into the family. But let's see where this H.K. Diver is. So I'm going to click on that twice, and it zooms right in and lights up where Diver is. Now, with it in that close, it's a little bit hard to get my bearings, so I'm going to use the minus sign here and go out a little bit and see what I can see. And so this is actually I've been reading deeds, and this Diep Kil was a Dutch word for a stream, and they had property right along there, and indeed here is H.K. Diver. There are also, I know when I started scrolling here, there are a lot of Overrockers who also married into the family. So I'm seeing a lot of familiar names. It's kind of fun. It's you feel like you get to know these people after a while when you read enough deeds and data. Here's Wolf, one of the Diver daughters, married a Mr. Wolf, so that's probably where she lived. So that's how that works. I think it's a lot of fun. You can also, if you want to search a name kind of on a broader basis, I can put Diver in up here. I haven't selected any particular place yet, and so it tells me, well, we've got 2 in New York, 2 in Oklahoma, 1 in Pennsylvania, and 2 in South Carolina. So if I double click to South Carolina, then it tells me you need to go to Greenville County, and keep double clicking my way in, and eventually the map will come up, and there's my Diver down there in South Carolina. All right, let's go back now. We're going to take a look at the First Landowners Project. This is especially helpful for the Midwest and out towards the West. This is the data, most of it comes from the Bureau of Land Management, and so we're looking at bounty land and land that was sold inexpensively to open up the West. So up here, again, we can search the surname. We can specify a state first if we want to, and then once we've specified a state, we can look for a county. So let's take somebody, let's go for Ohio here, and Okay, lots of counties in Ohio. Some of the divers moved out to Portage. Although they were there before the federal land, this is when Connecticut still claimed part of Ohio, so they're a little bit of a different case. But let's see now, when we do this search, what comes up. Okay, and you can see you get these maps, and they're very different than what us New Englanders are used to. These are the towns were on purpose laid out in a grid and make a lot more sense than these crazy New England roads that go up around the mountains and all. So let's see if we can find a specific surname. Let's go for Green. Okay, and as I come out a little bit, all of these places, these are places where people with the name of Green had land. So let's go and look at one a little more closely. Okay, and as we get in here, we see this is Holland Green. Tells you when the patent date was. It tells you what county you're in, Stark County, Ohio. It gives you the township and the range and the section, and then the aliquot. What's an aliquot? It's really just a way of saying where in the square your person is, and this one is pretty straightforward. It's northwest. So here's actually that doesn't look right. Northeast? Let's see. Yes, northeast, I'm sorry. So it's block 11 or section 11 here, and if we divided it into quarters, here we have this person is in the northeast quarter of 11. Okay, that's Henry Brown. Now I'm going to pop over here. We have Mr. Brown and Mr. Green. Isn't that convenient next to each other? So here's Holland Green. Now, there's more that we can do. One of the most fun things, I think, is you can go and look at the BLM material. Now, you can go to their website directly, but it's not always that easy to navigate and find your way around. So this is a wonderful link that we have here. I'm going to the patent details because they come up more quickly than the actual image. And here's all your data. This is which land office, tells you if there were additional mineral rights or anything, how many acres there were, and sometimes there'll be additional material down there. Let's look at the image, should be here by now. Okay, and so you get to see the actual certificate. Holland Green having deposited in the treasury a certificate of the register, the land office at Steubenville, etc., etc., etc. And this was in the time of Calvin Coolidge. Some of these, I'm sure it was just done mechanically, but they do have the president's quote-unquote signature in there, which is pretty fun to see as well. All right, let's go back now and get back to our maps. We need to click on, whoops, sorry about that. Here's where we were. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. You can look at it in Google Maps. And you can look at the actual photo, Landsat photo, or you can look at the maps. And you can look at the boundary history. This one's pretty straightforward, but if you were here in New England, you may know that these boundaries changed pretty regularly. And in this case, this was still Northwest Territory in 1790. Was Washington County as part of Northwest Territory for a little bit, 1800. And then in 1810, things settled down and it became Stark County and stayed that way. Okay, so that's a little bit of an introduction to that part, which is a lot of fun to play with. Now let's look at one other thing in here, which I always forget where it is. It is in the antique maps again. It's kind of hidden here, but if we come in here, we have United States rivers, if you're interested just in rivers, and we have some general atlases. But this thing is really, I think, pretty cool. This is the Cherokee allotments in Oklahoma. So if you click on that, you get this very colorful, beautiful map. and you can go in and you can see where the poor Cherokee were, the Trail of Tears. They were sent out west and had to take up a new place to live. But you can find them on here, and let's see if we can find. When you zoom in here, you can see some details that are pretty fun. So this is the index map, but let's look at one of the individual townships. Okay, and now we're starting to see these names. So some Boatwright, Carey, Little Dave. Some of the names are kind of interesting. This, I think, is one of those funny, this is one of those funny river maps that are it's just like a little strip. But you can see the lots, exactly what size and shape they were, and who lived there. Let me see if I can find us one that's a little bit more interesting to look at. Okay. So here we start going in, and the level of detail is pretty fascinating, and it's interesting to see the different names too, and obviously they're family members living near each other. So that's a thing that you might not have expected to find here. I know I didn't. I was pretty surprised when I first saw it and thought, oh, that is really neat. So that's all I have to share today. Hopefully that's given you a little idea of what you can do, and this is just the beginning. This is also a work in progress. It's basically one man who has been working at this very diligently, and it's really neat, and he keeps adding more and more features. So check it out regularly. Thanks.